Good evening. I'm actually good to see everybody here. A lot of what has been, I'm going to go through actually, has possibly already been covered tonight, but I hope to add a bit more to it. Hamish and Bob have had the pleasure of actually doing this talk twice already, and I've just been launched in here, so I do apologise if there is anything extra covered. Mike has asked that basically, again, apologise again, is that this amnesty needs to be drummed home hard and fast. It really does. An amnesty, interesting actually, I looked this up the other day there, an amnesty is a government pardon. So therefore the government has said pardon to landlords and tenants and given everybody the opportunity to address this. And I think everyone needs to understand why actually the amnesty is here. It's to catch up on the past and to get rid of those issues, the grey areas, the handshakes, the chats there, and catch up there with those things and do. Basically because it's acknowledged. There are things, there are problems out there. The amnesty is catching the problems there. It's to do with rent and also with WAGO. So, from the darkness, we have a bit of light. Now, one thing that's actually got me tonight is everyone's saying this 3-year period, this 3-year period. It's not. It's 2 years, 10 days and 2 years, 10 months and 24 days. The clock is already ticking, so don't rely on 3 years. Every day it's getting less and less a chance for you to deal with this matter. That's less than a rent review cycle. And you all know how quickly those come about. As we said there, it's to get rid of the what ifs. He said this, we said that, we agreed this the 2 generations ago. Now the amnesty is something that actually everybody needs to warmly welcome. It's something that all of the major organisations have bought into. The NFUS, the SLNE, the STFA, everybody has bought into this. So no one should be frightened by it or intimidated by going about the process. No one will be surprised if you say to your opposite number, be it landlord or tenant, let's discuss this amnesty. It's no surprise. Everybody knows that it's there. So deal with it. Now, you could say, well, actually, why do I want to bother with this amnesty? You know, everyone's talking about it there. You know, it's a big thing there. Why don't you bother then? It's two things. It's WAGO. It's also rent. So you can think, well, actually, our family's never going to leave the farm, so why bother with the actual WAGO? We're going to be here forever and ever and a day. Fine, but actually get your improvements sorted out for your rent test. So not only you might get a big ticket when you leave the farm, you can save yourself going down the line as well. It shouldn't be ignored. One thing that has actually been mentioned, but I think is worth saying again, actually, it's not about money, this. It's about registration. It's about understanding, catching up on the past. No one's writing that big check. No one needs to be frightened about it. Okay? The money will come at a discussion, possibly never in the future. But get everything sorted out now when you have the chance to do so. So we know the window's open, time is ticking, another day's gone by. You better get started. But the crucial thing I am saying is actually, well, this is the big thing. How do we actually do it? The big thing that needs to be understood as well is it has to be initiated by the tenant. It's the tenant to initiate the whole exercise. A lot of landlords actually, and there are some out there, who are currently welcoming it, and they're actually saying to their guys, come on, let's start talking about this already. But if they don't, it's up to the tenant to initiate things. So, when you get started, what I would say to people there is send the dog wide. Send it wide. Start thinking about all of the things that you've done. Take your time about it. I've had guys who have started on this process. They started 6 months ago. They haven't actually come to me with a list yet because they haven't got round to completing it. That seems crazy, but you're all busy. Everyone's doing things day in, day out. This time of year, long hours, etc. Time's ticking. Start the process now. It sounds like I'm really, really banging the drum, but believe you me, it does go on and on. Start the process by making a list. And make this list, it's not the obvious thing. It's not the shed. It's not the central heating. Send that dog wide. It's the land improvement. It's the drainage. It's everything like that. You know, think about these things and start making a list of what they were done, how they were done, when they were done. It doesn't matter what it cost to do them when they were done. That is irrelevant. Forget the pound signs. Okay? Invoices of when they're done may be helpful to prove they were done, but the pound signs are irrelevant. And there's a point someone was making earlier, actually, with Sam before there, was saying, yeah, he said he started the process there. And interesting, a lot of these assets are appreciating assets because of the way they are valued at the end of the day. Again, that's a different process, but think of everything you can think of to do it. Going forward then, you sent the dog wide. How do you do that? Who do you consult? Use the generations. There's a wealth of knowledge out there. Use it. Discuss it with them. Don't think it's just your job to do it. You know, speak to the uncle who might have known the grandfather better than you, etc. You know, speak to them there. There's a lot of information can be deduced down. And time again, I've had it said to me as well, and a lot of landlords would wholeheartedly agree with this, is that their records are not as good as yours. You've got things in the attic there, and they may well have 50 farms they're looking after. Your specific records for your farms may well be better than the landlord's. And actually, believe you me, a lot of landlords really welcome this. It gives them the chance to get a thorough understanding about their holdings. It's a good thing to do. So consult the next generations. Use the technology that's out there. It's available to all. Google Earth. You can go back on Google Earth over the years. You can see a lot of changes on it. It helps provide the evidence of what is done. Again, making all these notes. You can see the changes through the years. You can see the roads that have been done, the alterations, potentially, okay, one's black and white here, but that's 1945. As you go through the years, and other areas are different on Google Earth, admittedly, but it is a great help. It all provides the evidence. Now then, compiling your lists and also making your notes. One thing, and I've started doing this process with a lot of guys, using maps and painting pictures is better than 1,000 words. What I've found a lot with people is that when doing this is get something like your IAX plan and photocopy it about 5 or 6 times. Okay? On one map you can do the fences. Another map you can do the drains. Another map you can do the land improvements. Another map you can do the tracks and roads. Do them on different maps. If you try and do them on one, it becomes a complete jumbled mess. But just photocopy it and then just use them there and spend your time going there and revisit it. This is what is you know, I can't express how important this is, because this is homework that you guys can do yourselves. Before you involve anybody else, start compiling your own lists. It'll save you a huge amount of money going forward. So you've got your lists, you've done your research, you've chatted to the old man, you've gone through the attic, you've got your list there. Then we get to the horrible bit. Sorry, this is another farm plan there, which again, sorry, farm plans like this there, you can, you know, that's a pro map plan which, you know, a lot of agents can easily produce for you. Why not ask for that to be produced for you so you can start to add to that and annotate your notes to it and things like that. So yes, I'm saying there, you've got all there, you've done all your notes, get the horrible bit, involving the agent. Yep, not a nice thought, is it? You know, we're going to pay someone to do this there. But let's not forget, okay, we're 2 years, 20 to 10 months, 24 days down the line, time is ticking on. Involving someone now to do this big process can potentially be a massive help to you. You can do the lists, consult with your agent. Now, what the suitably qualified, sensible agent will be able to do will be able to take your lists, advise you to say, yes, we can do that, no, we can't do that, we can hopefully do that as well. But they can advise you, so what you're then actually taking forward yourselves is hopefully a sensible and arguable case. Rather than going with this extensive long list, which is going to frighten everybody to death and immediately go, oh, no, and everything stops. Your own guy should hopefully assist you in compiling something which is possibly unsavoury, but actually might be palatable, or certainly arguable going forward. Hamish has mentioned also that there's a lot of these grey areas and there's a lot of rules and regs. There's the post-lease agreements, there's writing down agreements. Your agent should be able to help you with that process as well. So again, so what you're actually going forward with is actually going to form part of a sensible discussion. The key thing actually to remember in there is the improvement there needs to be reasonable and desirable. Reasonable and desirable for a landlord to take on. So you've got the detail. You've got your agent there. The next step again is meet and discuss things. Meeting and discussing things with your landlord, or the landlord meeting the tenant. Going through a lot of rent review processes, I always think is great because it gives the people a chance to meet and discuss. Get them on the farm. Meet them on the farm so you can sit down there with the said list. If there's a question, you can walk out the door and see it. You know, welcome them in there. Things are on the ground. You can look at them there. You can actually provide the evidence. You can get together and discuss things. Now, these meetings do need to be semi-formal. So again, there's possibly a need for the agent to be there. The notes need to be taken. Keep a record. Now, I would suggest that not everything will get decided at the first meeting, but the sooner you can do this, the better. Again, your time is ticking. We're trying to avoid going to the formal process. So start the meetings, start your list, start your meetings at an early stage. Have this going forward there. Crucially, once you've had your meeting there, get the agreement and document it. If you don't document it, what's the point in going through the process to start with? You started because it wasn't documented, so why do the process and not document it at the end? That's why your notes of your meetings, etc., will be important, so you can then form part of something there which everybody is in agreement about and everybody actually signs up to at the end of the day. If you don't get it signed up and the period slips by, you've lost your opportunity. You've lost the opportunity of going into the formal process unless you get an agreement fully signed up. Yeah, we'll go on to that one. So the formal process has been mentioned. One thing actually that wasn't mentioned there is that the notice, the formal process starts on receipt of the notice, not the day you send. Just a minor thing, if you are in the formal procedure, I would suggest you probably will not be taking proper advice at this stage there, but it is this receipt of the notice. So it's the day he receives there. So, you know, you've got to put this in. And moving back a stage, again, we're talking this 3-year period. If you don't get the informal discussion agreed by about March 2020, then you potentially have lost the opportunity of going to the formal procedure. So this window to get things discussed is narrowing all the time. So again, emphasising it is important to start this as soon as possible. Hamish actually has been through quite clearly all of the steps. But one thing I would just reiterate slightly to bear in mind is that as part of any notice that you serve on the landlord, it will have to have a full schedule of everything that you're proposing. So therefore, we're back to our original list, which you're going to start straight away. Because you're going to need to have that if you want to form the formal notice. You can't just send one in, sort of a cover-all situation. Everything will need to be itemised and described very, very clearly. You've got to put something there that the landlord can say yes to A and no to B. But it's all got to be documented there. So again, starting this list is of extreme importance. I don't want to dwell too much on the formal process there. Hamish is far more qualified with things like that there. Again, if there's no objection either side, they do fall to become improvements going through it there. But that could be an interesting procedure. Now, we're going through the formal process there. Just because you serve the formal notice there, there's not an automatic assumption you will enter the land court. There is alternatives to the land court, but the parties need to agree to do this. Both parties need to agree to look at alternatives: mediation, arbitration, expert determination. There are multiple options out there. So again, possibly don't be too concerned that if you are serving the notice that you're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm actually going straight into the jaws of the land court. There are other options which may be a more suitable methodology for sorting out the discussion. But I do reiterate, both parties do need to agree to that. So just to sort of sum up in a way, I've been very brief, I do apologise. At the end of the day, there's one is to get started with the whole process, do the research, get some good agents' advice, prepare a well thought out case to put forward, which hopefully you can then have a sensible discussion about and get an agreement. And if at the end of the day you don't, there's always the recourse going back to the court. Thank you.